Alright, besties, we are going there today. BL actors who've played both top and bottom. Yes, the true switch legends of the industry. One minute they're all growl and dominance, the next they're soft, needy, and begging for love like it's their full time job. And I'm not just listing them, oh no, I'm rating them. Who slays as a top, who's born to bottom, and who should never ever attempt the other side again. I've got opinions, they are a little savage, and I know half of you are about to fight me in the comments. Up Boom Part first stole our attention as Jean in Lovely Writer, the introverted author whose accidental yaoi novel becomes a massive hit. During casting, he meets Nupsib, the lead actor of his story and quite literally one of the toppiest tops to ever exist. Jean spends half the series dodging Nupsib's relentless advances before finally giving in to him and marrying him. And honestly, upsold the role. His shy, soft, hesitant bottom energy was so natural that I was convinced this was his permanent typecast. But then came my stand-in. Suddenly, Up wasn't the timid Jean anymore. He was Ming, a spoiled, obsessive rich brat completely fixated on his movie star brother-in-law Tong. Since Ming can't have Tong, he takes Joe, the stand-in actor, and uses him as Tong's replacement in real life. What starts as a twisted game spirals into a consuming obsession that ultimately costs Joe his life. Now, when I first heard Up was cast as Ming, I had my doubts. His delicate features and gentle demeanor screamed UK, and I didn't think he could ever pull off that commanding, threatening aura. But I was so wrong, dead wrong. In the novel, Ming is described as beautiful yet terrifying, and Up embodied him uncannily well. The soft face stayed, but the energy, pure predator. He radiated dominance from the moment he walked on screen. So my verdict, while Jean was sweet and fitting, Ming proved Up is far deadlier and more magnetic as a top. He shocked me and I need him paired with Boom again, delivering more unapologetic top roles. Bible Vichapas came crashing into BL history books as Vegas Incan Porsche, the deranged, hot, psycho mafia prince we all knew we shouldn't root for, yet couldn't help falling for. He was manipulative, sadistic, utterly unhinged, but then he'd peel back the layers and show that raw, vulnerable pain that made us weak. Vegas was Bible's breakout, and let's be honest, it cemented him as one of the toppiest tops in BL. Then came 4 Minutes, where Bible flipped the script and played Great, a carefree rich student with a laid-back, devil-may-care attitude. On the surface, Great looked untouchable, but deep down he was guilt-ridden, scarred by his parents' misdeeds, and desperate to escape their shadow. And here's the thing, it worked because of Jess. Jess as time was taller, stronger, and radiated that powerful masculine aura. The dynamic clicked instantly. Bible as the UK felt believable because Jess naturally carried that commanding presence. But let's be real, when you line them up side by side, Vegas still wins. Vegas was unforgettable, iconic, the role that made Bible feel dangerous and magnetic. Great was solid, and I can watch Bible bottom for Jess any day, but my verdict is simple. Bible shines brighter as a top. Vegas is proof that he was born for unapologetic dominance. Pond once paired up with Earth aka Cool Heart in Forever You as P. Hill. And all I've got to say about that is, please no. Nothing against Pond's talent because he's actually very good, but that role just didn't sit right with his aura. Whether it was the writing, the dynamic, or simply the lack of chemistry with Earth, it didn't convince me. Then you look at him as Armin in Reset or Wang in 180-degree longitude passes through us, and suddenly it all clicks. Pond thrives in UK-coded roles. Tall, baby-faced, completely irresistible. The kind that makes semis lose their minds and spiral into obsession. That's where his magic lies. He's talented, he knows how to layer vulnerability with allure, and when paired with someone more buff or heavy built, he shines. My verdict: Pond as P Hill felt forced, but Pond as a UK, chef's kiss. Keep him in mature bottom roles where men can't resist him, because that's the Pond we want to see. Santa first stepped onto the BL stage with Earth in My Only 12%, playing Cake, the bisexual best friend who realizes a little too late that he's fallen for Sue. He carried the semi role with sincerity and made Cake's regret hit hard. Fast forward to Perfect 10 liners, and Santa switches gears as Gun, this time playing the UK opposite Perth. On paper, it should have worked. A versatile actor showing range in both roles. And to be fair, Santa can act. He delivers his lines with conviction whether he's topping or bottoming. But here's my problem: I'm not sold on the chemistry. With Earth, fine but not unforgettable. With Perth, honestly, no. I loved every couple in Perfect 10 liners except theirs, which says a lot. I kept rewatching their scenes hoping the spark would hit me, and instead I got more convinced that it just wasn't there. So, my verdict: Santa has the chops, but he hasn't had that one pairing that makes me obsessed. Right now, the jury is still out on whether I prefer him as a semi or a UK. He's versatile, sure, but he needs the right partner to prove it. In my opinion, of course. Let's be honest, Chains of Heart was a disaster. But what kept me watching? Boom. Handsome, magnetic, and oozing that sexy aura as Mr. Chang. He was irresistible, charming, and his chemistry with Hive was the only thing that kept the series afloat. As a semi, he was commanding, suave, and everything you want in a leading man. Then, Boom spun the wheel and gave us Arkin in top form. A movie star who's been voted Sexiest Man of the Year 5 years in a row, yet crumbles into the softest, most vulnerable cutie in front of Jen. Suddenly, Mr. Unattainable was needy, lonely, and completely at Jen's mercy. He couldn't resist, he couldn't say no, he just melted. And Boom sold every second of it. Here's the problem: I can't decide. He's too damn good at both. As Chang, he was pure semi energy. As Skin, he was the perfect UK. So, my verdict: I need Boom to keep switching roles, because until I see him dominate one series and surrender in another back to back, I refuse to pick. He's dangerously versatile and I want more. So, let's talk about Pavel. After seeing him as fourth in 2 Moons 2 and then as Babe in Pit Babe across 2 seasons, my conclusion is simple: he's just not that good of an actor. As fourth, he worked. He had chemistry with Dome, and maybe that's why I didn't notice the cracks. His role was smaller, less demanding, and honestly forgettable. But when Pit Babe rolled around, it became painfully clear. As Babe, he was supposed to have this strong aura, but what we got was childish arrogance mixed with a personality so grating it made the character repulsive. Add in Pavel's overly aggressive delivery, and it just didn't land. By season 2, I realized Pooh wasn't the problem, it was Pavel. Their NC scenes were creepy AF. Nothing but limbs tangling around with zero intimacy, zero chemistry, and zero spark. So, my verdict: Pavel can coast in small semi roles like fourth, but as Babe, he's unconvincing, over the top, and impossible to root for. He and Pooh are perfectly matched, though they're both shallow, forgettable, and only good for pulling in views with NC scenes, not for delivering real acting or chemistry. First is one of those rare actors who can walk into any role and absolutely own it. As Yoke in Not Me, he was captivating, rebellious, vulnerable, and completely unforgettable, especially opposite Gavin. Their dynamic was electric, and let's be real, I'm still not over them. Yoke was technically a UK role, but first played him with such thirst, such relentless desire for Dan that it flipped the usual BL dynamic on its head. He wasn't passive, he wasn't waiting to be loved. He wanted, he demanded, and it made the role so much richer. Then he turned around and gave us sand in Only Friends. Paired with Khowtang, first fully embodied the semi charm. Confident, alluring, commanding, but still layered with vulnerability. He's never one note. Even as a semi, he gives you cracks in the armor, emotional depth that keeps you hooked. So, my verdict, like Boom, he's dangerously versatile. He can seduce as a UK, he can dominate as a semi, and he can blur the lines in between. First is simply too good to box into one category. My only demand is that GMM TV stops wasting him on fluffy roles. He deserves mature BLs with great writing because he has the range to carry them all. Let's talk about Gavin. And yes, some people might hate me for this, but I wasn't fully convinced by his acting in Golden Blood. As Tong, he seemed uncomfortable in the UK role next to Jaws. His line delivery felt stiff, and honestly, he looked out of place. But here's the wild part, I was still feral over their dynamic. Don't ask me to explain it. The NC scenes were absolutely sizzling. He completely leaned into being dominated by Joss's mark, and that raw chemistry almost made me forget everything else. This wasn't his first time bottoming either. He played UK roles in Kiss Me Again and Dark Blue Kiss with Pod. The difference is that in Dark Blue Kiss, he didn't have to feminize himself, so the relationship felt natural. Whereas in Golden Blood, the infantilization of Tong killed his charm, and his discomfort was painfully obvious. Then came Not Me, where Gavin finally got to Seme. As a police officer opposite First, he was magnetic, commanding, and absolutely in his element. Masculine, self assured, and totally believable. That's where Gavin shines. So, my verdict, Gavin is far more convincing as a semi, but with the right partner, and I'm looking at Joss, he can still serve as a UK. Just spare us the weak babyfied writing. He loses his edge there, and his discomfort shows. What I really want, Joss and Gavin back together because the two of them are just too hot not to share the screen again. And there you have it. BL actors who've played both sides and my brutally honest verdicts on who works better as a top, who was born to bottom, and who should never switch again. Some of these actors surprised me, some disappointed me, and some proved they're just too damn versatile to box in. Now it's your turn. Drop your hot takes in the comments. Who do you think slays harder as a semi and who melts best as a UK? Because let's be honest, the chaos is only just beginning. Bye.